I have almost no idea who Emily S. Loud was. It seems she may have been Emily Syrena Loud, who may have been born Emily Syrena Griffin, the daughter of Captain George D. Griffin and Lydia Syrena Pocket. She may have been born in 1839 in Lynn, Massachusetts, and may have been a journalist. That is all I know. In 1899 she published Taurua, written in the Book of Fate. The story begins with the ship of Captain Hughes being pursued by a British ship, all because Hughes has a hold full of native islanders he kidnapped to enslave on plantations. With him is a certain Wellingford, a man who was accused of murder in Sydney, all because he got drunk in a seedy tavern. Hughes saved him from the authorities and brought him aboard his ship. But Wellingford hates having to associate with a man like Hughes. More so when the cynical bastard dumps all 100 of his captives into the ocean to be devoured by sharks, so the British won't find anything on his ship. Sadly, as much of a bastard as Hughes is, the author kills him off-screen after only a few chapters, which is a total waste. One man who had escaped Hughes earlier with the help of Wellingford is Taurua, who returns to his native island of Anamotu. The islanders then decide to murder any white man who comes to their island for any reason. Soon enough, Captain Godfrey lands a ship there to trade with the natives, taking his niece Constancia with him. But just as they land, Godfrey is murdered and then eaten. Heyeri, Taurua's grandmother, takes care of the child with a vague idea of marrying her to Taurua in the future because of the girl's American ancestry, as part of a larger plan to help Taurua reassert his dominion over Tahiti and wrench the Leeward Islands from the French. She mixes her blood with that of the unconscious child, hoping to make her forget her past, which seems to happen mostly out of shock. Meanwhile, Wellingford goes to look over a deserted island, but a storm kills his guide and strands him there for 2 years. When he is rescued, he finds his fiancée married his brother in the meantime, so he decides to go live with Taurua, as the two had sailed together for some time beforehand. But the islanders want to kill him, so he doesn't tell anyone about the girl, now named Arava, being with them on the island, and so he is exiled to a tiny uninhabited island as the next best thing. During a thunderstorm, Arava seems to hear her uncle speak to her from the spot where they buried his bones, remembering who she is but can no longer speak English at all, and though she tries to find aid from Wellingford, he cannot help her. When Taurua speaks of his love to her, she refuses and wants to be just friends because, well, back when she was 8, an older boy, Merle Cunningham, kissed her and said he would find her and make her his wife no matter what. She's somehow falling in love with his memory, as concerning as it is. When the future Tahitian king, Pomare V, is to marry, the Anamotu go to Papeete. But first they take Arava to a marae, or holy place on an isolated island, to use a special dye to make her appear as non-white as all the other islanders. On the island during the festivities and gift-giving to Queen Pomare IV, she meets Merle, who scoffs at her and calls her only a Kanaka. As she can't speak her own language anymore and appears just like all the other natives, you would think she would have some difficulty in proving who she is. Nope. But before then she runs off from the other Anamotu and winds up in a hidden tomb, confronted by a long row of skulls, including that of Taurua's heroic ancestor Puhara. But as soon as she enters, the path starts crumbling, as if fulfilling the curse that none but one of the blood of Puhara may enter. Then she gets a fever and starts yelling out in English, and Merle is brought to see what is up with her, him being American and all, and they realize she's white because the soles of her feet are, because they weren't dyed. Kinda not delivering on that whole uphill scenario for her. The story ends with the deaths of Heyeri and Taurua, a long time after Arava, who is never again referred to by her real name even by the narrator, is married to Merle. A rather good section is a story told by Heyeri of a Tahitian princess whose spirit keeps being tugged around by an undead lover, and who was forced to return to her half-decomposed body by a dickish priest. But there is only one such story.